You're on the clock with Tyler Jennings and Jared Perkins, a Prospects Live podcast for everything MLB Draft related. Join us as we discuss the biggest stories from college and high school baseball, bring you interviews from your favorite draft prospects, and break down live looks with Prospects Live analysis across the nation. Get ready, because you're on the clock with Tyler Jennings and Jared Perkins.
All righty, welcome to On the Clock, powered by Prospects Live. The podcast is bringing you everything MLB Draft and amateur baseball related. I'm Jared Perkins. That's Tyler Jennings, as always. We are excited here to be in episode 2. We got 2 incredible guests we're going to have come up. Nick Kurtz and Seaver King of Wake Forest. We're going to have a really good interview with them. But first, we've got to talk a little bit of amateur baseball, I think, in MLB Draft. I guess the first thing we need to touch on is the MLB Draft Lottery as the season's finished up. So we have a draft order. Tyler, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it was a little interesting. So kind of just going off what you were talking about with the lottery. The lottery is set for December 5th. If anybody isn't aware, it's going to be at the winter meetings when they have it in December. 8:30 p.m. I think is the time, but I could be mistaken on that. I'll look into it further, but I know it's an evening thing. But yeah, we got the lottery kind of set. They tried it last year. Last year was the first time that they did it. And if I remember correctly, Oakland had a top 3 or like a really good chance of being 1-1. They got drafted down to 6. So it can throw some curveballs here. And I'm interested to see what happens this year. So kind of just looking at what we have, Oakland obviously finished 50 and 112. They have the best odds with Kansas City and Colorado at 16.5% to get the first overall pick. The lottery for the MLB draft technically goes to 6 picks and not the full 18 that we have. So the first 6 picks, the best odds right now is Oakland, KC, Colorado, the White Sox, St. Louis, and the Angels. Washington, if you're wondering where they're at, they're in a little bit of a tricky situation in terms of their revenue sharing. Latest CBA, there's a little thing that says teams that receive revenue sharing payouts cannot receive a lottery pick for more than 2 years in a row. So essentially, you can have one for 2 years, but if you have a third year where in your lottery, you're bumped out of the top 6. Or in Washington's case, where they don't get those payouts, they cannot have a lottery choice in consecutive drafts. So they just had them this past year being second overall. They will not be able to pick any higher than 10th overall this year, just with the way that the revenue sharing is. It's an interesting little thing that they put in the CBA in the last one. I want to kind of see how they go forward with that, see how it kind of evolves. Because, like I said, this isn't really something that's been long-term. This is just something that this is the second year they're doing, kind of following the AHL, the NBA, all the other leagues that do have a lottery. And it is chaos, essentially. I mentioned that the Twins were a big winner last year, getting a lottery pick, and then Oakland obviously getting the 6th overall when they had some of the best odds to get it. A little bit chaotic sometimes,
I mean, as a Royals fan, I can say that they got 9th overall, and they're expected. I think they were supposed to be expected to be in that like 5 or 6 slot. I can't remember exactly, but Royals fans were not happy about that coming into the first draft lottery. Get bumped down, especially in the draft, like the draft class of last year. Like that's when you want a top 5. And I think the Royals were projected to be like draft lottery percentage wise into the top 5, and they got bumped down. They
were definitely one of the losers last year. I know some teams that if they happen to be over the luxury tax, like I think the Mets are the ones that are really over the luxury tax. If they don't get a lottery pick, they drop down 10 spots. So I think the Yankees are the same way. I think the Angels might be, because I know they tried shedding salary after the deadline with like Giolito, Lopez, Matt Moore, Renfroe, all of those guys. So I'll be interested to see if they did somehow manage to get underneath the luxury tax, but I think they're on the cusp of it. I could be mistaken on that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always an exciting time. It mixes things up a little bit, but hey, who knows what's going to happen. The other piece of news that we got to get into just before we head over to this interview with Nick and Seaver is the 2023 WWBA World Championships, perfect game down in Jupiter, Florida. Are there some guys that are standing out to you in that? And anything that the viewers should be knowing about?
Yeah, absolutely. We got our guy Will down there. He's been down there all week. He hasn't really posted all that much, but that's just the way he rolls. He's very good, very talented. He knows what he's doing. He's telling us everything behind the scenes. Biggest thing really that I've noticed the past couple of days is a bunch of power bats. Hunter Carnes is definitely one of them. He's on our top 50 for the prep list, which we'll, plug in at some point here. But he's one of the more powerful guys in this class. He is a bit older. I think he's supposed to be something like 19.3, 19.4 on draft day. But when you have a kid as a senior in high school that can hit a ball 115 miles an hour with a wood bat, that's pretty impressive. And you already have like a good athleticism behind the plate. Like that's wild stuff right there. You don't usually see that.
Paying attention as soon as that happens.
That gets everybody's attention at the ballpark. There was another kid too from Texas. This is more of like a pop-up guy more than anything. I think it's Braden Bergman is his name, out of Texas. This is a guy that's usually been like low 90s a couple times over the summer. But all of a sudden, it's like he's holding 94, 95 down in Jupiter. He's top 97. He's got a really good breaking ball. There's feel for a changeup. Like, if you're looking for a guy that could pop up in this class, I think Bergman's going to be one of them. Texas is kind of not down on talent this year like it was last year, but it's kind of so-so. So this is definitely an opportunity for him to go ahead and take the reins on the class, really, because there's not a ton of arms in that Texas class this year. Yeah,
it's interesting things. Are there some guys that you're going to keep looking for down in the WWBA the next few? Because I know it goes on for another day or two.
Yeah, I think another day or two. I think next up they got semifinals. I think it's round of 8, and then they got the Final Four, and then the championship game. From what I remember, but I actually have to double check to see who's still in there. I know like the Kings national team had PJ Orlando, Owen Pano, all those guys, but I think they got knocked out.
Yeah,
which is kind of a big shocker, to be honest with you. That's a really talented team. So yeah, I'll have to look into that. But I know, like, just from previous experience, like the power baseball guys are always really good down there. South Charlotte is a really good team down there. So I'm going to be interested to see some of the Carolina guys, because I know a couple of them have performed pretty well. But just with the way that WWBA is, like, some of the bigger names do pull out last minute, but you still get a plethora of guys. And like I mentioned with Bergman, it's a really good opportunity to put yourself on the map and get yourself out there. So I'm interested to see if anybody else does that here in the next day or so.
Yeah, I love that. And if anybody wants to know a little bit more about these prep guys, like Tyler said, we have the 2024 MLB Draft Top 50 Prep Prospects on prospectslive.com's website. We also had the 2024 MLB Draft Top 50 College Prospects list come out as well. You can check both of those out. Of course, it'll be updated throughout the year as we get into the college season and more data and more stats and all that fun stuff starts getting pulled up. But we got the initial lists out there for you all to check out. Tyler and the rest of the draft team have put in some incredible work in that. So make sure to check out their work. We want to keep this one a little bit short just because we want to focus more on the incredible interview we have. We have Nick Kurtz again and Seaver King from the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. Squad's going to be a fun one to watch this year in college baseball. So without further ado, we want to get you over to that interview. All right, we have two incredible guests with us today from Wake Forest. We have Nick Kurtz and Seaver King, two guys who are big MLB draft prospects. We're going to be right in the middle of that Wake Forest lineup this year. Well, we're excited to have both of you on. So we want to kick off the first question. Have you guys give a little bit of background about about yourselves, just how you got into baseball and your journey to Wake Forest. Seaver, we'll kick it off with you, just because you have just a unique and incredible journey. I think everybody will want to hear.
Yeah, kind of grew up playing a bunch of sports, but fell in love with baseball at a young age. Played travel ball pretty young, kind of got into that circuit. And then, around 12, 13, guys started, growing and getting bigger and stuff. And I just kind of stayed back a little bit. So just kind of made my way, all right, college baseball is my ultimate goal. Like, let's just go try to do that. My senior year, I committed to Wingate University, went up there, and I was at that point, I was just content that, like, hey, this is where my road's going to end, and I'm just going to play college ball here. And then I had 2 great seasons, and I kind of clicked right away, like, hey, maybe I can go, make a career out of this. So I decided to go in the portal. Had a lot of schools to look at, but, ultimately Wake Forest was the right place for me. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Nick, what about you?
Yeah, I'm a little bit the same way. Grew up, playing baseball every day with my brothers, my dad. Also played basketball my entire life, pretty much. Went to a boarding school for high school after my freshman year in Tennessee. So I did that, and then I came into Wake when I was actually a freshman in high school before the rules were put in place and stuff like that. So I actually came to Wake as a pitcher. Then throughout high school, I became a two-way, and then when I got here, I was a hitter only. And then been at Wake for 3 years, had a great time. Hopefully back to Omaha again this year.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome too. Talk a little bit about that, coming in as a pitcher, right? And then all of a sudden having to transition to hitting, basically becoming one of the best hitters in the nation. How was that transition for you?
Yeah, I mean, I always liked hitting better than
Yeah.
pitching. Those things I always enjoyed more, but I was a big, tall, left-handed pitcher who could throw pretty hard, so they're all looked at me as a pitcher. Then through I tore my labrum back in high school, my throwing shoulder, and after that point, I was like, hey, Coach, I think I'm just gonna hit from now on, and he respected that decision, and it's worked out since then.
Love it. Tyler, go ahead. I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's definitely worked out since then, hasn't it? So I wanted to ask you, Seaver, just because you were on the Cape this year, and as well you went down to Cary to do collegiate. What was that experience like compared to what Wingate was? What was that for you?
Yeah, going up to the Cape. Actually, on my visit, Coach Walt came in and was like, "Hey, Massey, you're going to Team USA," and then he told me I was on a short list. So I get up to the Cape, not really thinking about it, like, hey, whatever, haven't got a call. And then I remember going 2 games in the Cape, going 9 for 10. And then the next day at BP, I get a call, and it happened to be the Wednesday, and I was supposed to be in Cary on a Friday. So it was kind of crazy. So I went down there, and I think when I first was like, wow, I've kind of changed is I think it was late at night, and I wanted to go get something to eat. I asked somebody to go to the gas station, and somebody's like, the team room's open. Like, we got all this stuff. And I was like, what in the world? So that was one of the big things that, kind of shocked me because I'm not used to that. But yeah, after playing with Team USA, got to meet awesome guys, best players in the country. But yeah, it's truly probably my favorite summer I've ever had, traveling everywhere, having my mom be able to come see me everywhere, my dad and all that stuff. So it was pretty awesome.
That's great to hear, man.
Yeah, I want to build off of that from Tyler a little too, because like you said, he went from a small school D2 at Wingate to Wake Forest. How's that transition gone for you now that you're kind of in your first fall with Wake? And what's kind of stuck out to the most to you, kind of as a difference between where you were and now being at Wake?
Yeah, I kind of had a criteria what I was looking for with the school I was going to go to, and Wake kind of fit it perfectly. Coming in, first couple of weeks, the guys are, you're right a part of the team, and we're just getting to work right now. We kind of got our dudes throwing now, and I think the hitters are now in a groove and stuff. So it's gonna be super competitive going up to these fall games, and I'm super excited for the spring.
Yeah, I love it. Tyler, go getting in with you if you have any questions.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Nick, I want to ask you this. Omaha last year, what was that experience like for you? Because I'm going to get you in on this.
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. It's like the thing you always dream about as a kid. You go to a place where play in front of, I don't know, 30,000 fans, however many it was. And at this time, everyone's rooting against you. It's basically a away game for LSU fans. And it was pretty awesome to share that moment with the guys, the team, the team that you worked so hard for, go through the brutal falls and the conditioning and the Omaha challenges to actually get there. It's pretty awesome. And then to do it for a Wake Forest community who hasn't really been there. They went back when, the game was a little different, but I think the game's completely changed. And it's one of those things where we got to do something for Wake Forest that hasn't really been done.
Yeah, let's say, because I think the last time they were in Omaha was what, 55? Yeah, 55, I think. Yeah, so that's just amazing to hear. And like, especially with I think it was a Skeens Louder duel that got walked off on, the Toby White walk off.
Yeah.
What was that? Like, how was that environment, first off, just being in that big of a stadium with all the fans around?
Yeah, I mean, it was the game was crazy. The game was awesome. It was super fun. And that moment was a little sad, a little frustrating, especially for me not being able to really play in that game and being a little bit banged up. So that was a hard moment to go through. But, we learn from all these moments. We move on and we just get better from it.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how are you all using that motivation, right? From going to the College World Series, getting so close, and then all of a sudden now you're kind of on that journey coming into 2024, going after the same thing. So how is that College World Series experience really helping you guys in terms of momentum for this year?
Yeah, we kind of we've been there. We know what it takes. The returners knows everything we got to do to get back there. And then just from going off last year, we're angry, we're mad, we're upset of how last year ended, and we're going to use that in any way we can to get back there and come back with a bigger trophy.
Yeah, I love that. Seaver, for you, what's it like being in that environment now, right? You're coming from Wingate to Wake Forest and now chasing a potential College World Series run, all those things. What's been some of the motivating factors for you this year?
Yeah, I got blessed with going into Wingate the year after they won the national championships. I kind of got entered into the same kind of role, I guess you could say. So I think it's just going about our business the right way. They know what it took to get them there, but we're, like Coach Walt says, we're a different team than we were last year. We're going to have different, good things we do, bad things we do. It's just going to be a different team and a different vibe. And we just got to, own that and just play with that. And I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, I love that. I was kind of looking to the fall. You all started your fall scrimmages. Seaver, for you, I know that you hit a home run the other day. It sounds like 109 exit velo for you. What was that experience like, finally playing in kind of your first D1 game, even though it's just a scrimmage? Yeah,
we've played probably 5 or 6, including today. So I've actually been struggling a little bit. So today, to kind of get off the horse against our guys was, a big confidence boost for me. But even just playing in a stadium like that is just something, I didn't really dream of until, a couple years ago. So that was absolutely a huge thing. I'm just excited to get that thing packed and playing against somebody else. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure once you get those crowds in there in that environment, it's just going to be a whole different story. I got a couple more questions with Tyler. I just want to turn it over to you in case you got some others.
Yeah, I did have a couple questions for both of you guys. Just because you mentioned the scrimmages and everything. Who's been the hardest arm to face on that staff thus far this fall for both of you?
Oof. I mean, I would say, based off of today, Michael Massey had my number today. It was a 3-pitch at bat, but it was pretty quick. But it's good. So, but yeah, either him. I think Ben Shinosky's a guy to look out for. He's been throwing really well right now. So yeah, those 2 guys.
Cool. What about you, Nick?
Yeah, I'd say today, my Massey for sure. Hartle for today. Then we got this freshman named Hayden LeFew, who's been looking pretty good. At least he's a left-hand pitcher. Left on left, he's not fun. He's up to 96, 95, 90. It's pretty good arm, so that's not fun to face either. So probably those 2.
I would say LeFew was a big guy last year too, because he was kind of like a pop-up guy May-ish, because he was popping 95, 96 late. So he'll be a fun arm. That's once he gets in that.
Absolutely.
Games in the spring. And then let's see. What was it, Jared? It was Brock Wilken the other day on your other podcast that said that what was it about power between you and Nick?
Nick, on Joe Doyle's podcast, you said that you have more pop than him, and then I interviewed him last week, and he said that's not even close to true. So we have to get the word from you. Do you have more pop than Brock?
Yeah, of course I do. I tell him. He knows I doesn't like to admit it. It's okay.
What's the chances we're gonna get a Wilken Kurtz home run derby at some point?
I hope so. At some point, that'd be pretty cool.
Can we do it this fall, on the 22nd?
I mean, if we can do it, yeah, I'm in.
He's done with Instruct soon, I have to imagine. So he's got to go back to Wake and then get it going.
Yeah, he texted me today, so he's coming back pretty soon.
Yeah. I'll kind of go into the last question I got here. So just for you guys, it's so that everybody can get to know you outside of the game too. What are some of your passions away from baseball as well? Seaver, I'll kick it off to you first.
Yeah, I think me and Kurtz share similar or big gamers, I would say. So that, and then unlike Kurtz, I like playing golf a little bit. So those are my kind of 2 things.
But have you found any courses yet by Wake?
No, unfortunately. So I spent a little time at Wingate before I came and moved up in here.
Okay.
So my clubs are actually with my roommate, my ex-roommate down there. So I haven't got a chance to play up here, but that'll probably be something for when we're off and stuff. So
yeah, Nick, what about you?
Yeah, Seaver said huge gamer. I hate golf. We'll never play golf. I mean, I'm a big like football fan. Like I'm a huge Dallas Cowboys fan, so we're watching them later. I pretty much that's what I do on my Sundays every week after the scrimmages. And that's about it. I'm a little low key guy.
I love it. Well, we can't thank both of you enough for taking the time to join us on the clock. We're wishing you nothing but success this fall and then going into the 2024 season. We'll be watching Wake Forest just like everybody else and hoping you guys make that run.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.